Well, folks, we're going to be doing something special here. I have a bunch of hands-on impressions coming your way from PAX West, including this video. We're going to be talking about Pokemon Legends ZA. And the reason I chose to make this one first above all of my other coverage is because I am not a big Pokemon fan. In fact, calling me a Pokemon fan is probably an insult to people who are actually Pokemon fans. I didn't really enjoy Scarlet and Violet all that much. In hindsight, I wasn't a big fan of Sword and Shield, and really the only Pokemon games I've enjoyed over the last decade besides New Pokemon Snap was, well, Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee and Pokemon Legends Arceus. In fact, Arceus is my favorite Pokemon game. So you would figure I would just be naturally excited for Pokemon Legends ZA, but I'm going to be honest. While the battle system looked interesting, I was not fully invested in what this game was doing. The city looks very drab and uninteresting to me. The stuff around the battle system didn't look that interesting to me. So I went into this demo hoping that they could find a way to sell me to at least give this game a try on day one. It doesn't mean I'm going to end up liking the overall game, but at least get a good taste for what this game is attempting to do that would actually make me want to play it. Because again, I'm somebody who doesn't really like Pokemon all that much, and I specifically really don't like Mega Evolution things. I've never liked them in the series. So this game is obviously heavily advertising Mega Evolutions as well. So I had all these concerns and reasons that I didn't think I would be interested. And then I got to actually play it. And before I dive in on my impressions on playing it and actually show you what I did, I want to remind everyone about today's sponsor. This video is sponsored by Factor. As many of you know, I've been on a weight loss journey for a while, and one of the hardest things to do when you have such a busy schedule like me is to maintain healthy eating habits when your time is limited. Whether it's my morning routine of getting the kids off to school, followed by a workout on the rowing machine right before work, or dealing with the ever-growing demand on my time between work, family, and friends, reality is that sometimes you don't have the time you want to make a good meal. That, for me, is where Factor comes into play. They have now introduced their healthiest menu to date and helped me immensely with issues such as portion control, keeping every meal between 350 to 550 calories. This helps me on my weight loss goals by making it a stress-free experience. In just 2 minutes, I have a hot and healthy meal ready to go before I move on to my next task for the day. My favorite part about Factor, beyond how little time it takes to get a good meal, is actually how delicious it is. When I was younger, I had a microwave meal that not only weren't really that healthy, they didn't taste all that great either. With Factor, I can't tell the difference between one of their meals and my own home cooking. It's that good. The meals are never frozen and their menu is constantly growing with 80 plus rotating weekly meal options. Head to factor75.com or click on the link below and use code Nintendo Prime FB50, all caps, baby, to get 50% off plus free breakfast for 1 year. That's code Nintendo Prime FB50 at factor75.com to get 50% off plus free breakfast for 1 year. Thank you, Factor, for sponsoring this video, but also thank you for helping me reach my health goals. All right, thank you, Factor, once again for sponsoring this video. Let's go ahead and dive right into my gameplay. And no, folks, we don't have any good audio here, so I do apologize for that. Audio is very hard to record at these events. But what I do want to note here is there was basically 2 demos. The first demo is sort of this intro area where you're running through part of the city and battling different things. This is about for the ranking system they have going from, rank Z to A, hence the name of the game. These battles were all fairly easy and straightforward and, not really something that I put a lot of thought into how I was going to beat all the Pokemon. Didn't always select the best Pokemon, to be fair, but I was having a good time. It was just okay, though. This wasn't something that was going to convince me to buy. It was like a intro to battling and how the battle system works. At least that's how it felt like. The one thing I will note from this first demo that I did actually enjoy quite a bit is how easy it was to recall and send out Pokemon. It doesn't work in the traditional sense where you have like turns, like you have to hit end turn or whatever, right? Or select your attack and then it's their turn. That's not how this works. It's like a real-time action system that has a little bit of turnness going in it because there's cooldowns on all the abilities, but you could literally recall and send out Pokemon at will on the spot. And that was something I really enjoyed and actually made the fights a bit more engaging. There was at one point, one of the fights, I actually was just kiting a Pokemon. Like I was just running circles around like a little garden thing in the middle, and the Pokemon would get stuck at times, which was hilarious. I never thought I'd actually be kiting Pokemon in a Pokemon game before. That's usually something that I did a lot in things like MMORPGs like World of Warcraft or even RuneScape. Man, I'm going old school here. You know, MMORPGs, Final Fantasy 14, even you do that sometimes. So, yeah, I didn't think I'd ever be kiting a Pokemon in a Pokemon game, and yet here I was doing that in the middle of a battle. Obviously, I was just getting a grasp on things. I probably didn't need to move as much as I was moving in my battles, at least in this first area, but it just was like, hey, I can move now while I fight, and I want to see, you know, if there's any advantages to doing so for dodging and everything, and there definitely is. So yeah, I really did enjoy this. There's apparently a whole dodge roll system for the character, but you have to turn off the L targeting, which, you know, I didn't really do much during my gameplay here, but I did see other people doing that. Again, two very scripted demos, and the second demo is actually really what sold me. We're talking about doing a mega evolution battle, which, yeah, it's a scripted event. It happens on top of a roof, all of this stuff. I have Lucario that I'm borrowing from someone. And look, this whole thing, it really made me a fan of how mega evolution battles work in this game. And again, I have personally never enjoyed mega evolutions. I've always felt like they were just like an excuse for this new super feature to make already fully evolved Pokemon even more powerful temporarily. And that is kind of what mega evolutions are, but I never really enjoyed it in the traditional Pokemon games. And I feel like maybe it's just because I soured on the battle system overall. Like one of my favorite things in Pokemon Legends Arceus is advancing the town and catching all the Pokemon, but not actually battling. Battling is very like minuscule part of Legends Arceus, and because of that, I didn't really like the battling in the game, but I was barely doing it, so I didn't care that much. In this game, obviously, it's all about the battles, and what they did is they got away from the tried and true, what everyone knows about the battle system, and created their own unique battle system. And it really shines in the mega evolution battle, I gotta tell you, because not only do you have to dodge for your Pokemon, you have to dodge for yourself as well, because you can actually be killed. You can have, well, I don't know if they faint, right? You can be fainted in these battles. And I find that to be really enthralling. This does not play the way other games do. I know some people are gonna try to liken how this game does to like something like Pal World, but Pal World's live action combat is very different from this live action combat system. I was trying to find a good comp for what I could think of. Some people try to tell me, oh, what about Xenoblade? Xenoblade doesn't work this way either, because you have this companion character. That's really what's doing all the attacks. And yeah, the cooldowns aren't anything new in live action, but it's new to Pokemon. I gotta say that I really found the battle system to just be really engrossing. Again, it combines a little bit of turn-based elements with a ton of live action, multiple Pokemon, you know, battling it out at times. Obviously, in the case of the demos, we only ever got to see 1v1. We know that can actually be different later when you have 4 players going at it. So we know that you could have more than 1v1 happening in this game. And we didn't get to try that, but I really enjoyed the mechanics of the Mega Evolution and what it added to the sense of urgency in the battle. And I did, this is something that was kind of fun. So I one of the demos I really smashed through it pretty quick and got to walk around the town a little bit. And you know, the Nintendo rep told me that I could do it, but it was kind of funny because once I ended my demo session and I set down the controller, another Nintendo rep like ran over to my thing quickly and they looked around at everyone and then they went quickly and reset the game. I'm not so sure that I was supposed to like rush through the fight and run around the town. Basically what I'm saying. They didn't tell me I had to turn off the camera. They didn't tell me I couldn't show it. But I do just think it's kind of funny that Nintendo is just sitting there and one of the reps is like rushing over and goes, he's playing something he's not supposed to play. We don't want other people to see this. Because I kind of feel like the demo was basically 2 vertical save file slices from the main game. Like this could have been the entirety of the game was actually there, but they didn't want you to keep playing past a certain point. There's supposed to be a timer that kicks you out. And most people, I want to be clear, I was watching throughout the 4 days I was there. most people were not actually getting to that point where they rushed through it so quick they could run around. So I think that was kind of cool. I didn't really discover anything that matters or was important or I think is notable. So I will say this about the game a little bit. The visuals are very crisp. It runs extremely smooth. I wouldn't be surprised. This is a locked 60 FPS. I only got to play it in docked mode. Obviously, we didn't get to play it on Switch 1, so we have no idea what Switch 1 performance is like. All of my impressions are on Switch 2. The visuals look really crisp. It looks runs really smoothly. I'm still not like the biggest fan of the whole art style that Pokemon's been going in for a long time, but this is just what Pokemon does. Yes, there's still a ton of flat textures on the buildings, and it feels a little weird to play a Pokemon game. Like, this is the weirdest thing. It feels weird to play a Pokemon game in 3D that's smooth because this is like their fourth attempt at it, and none of the other ones were like smooth. It almost feels like something's wrong that the game runs so well, but that also just makes me so nervous for the Switch 1 version, because if the Switch 1 version doesn't run very well, and that's why they're showing up the Switch 2 version, then I still am worried when they only make Pokemon games for Switch 2 instead of for Switch 1 and Switch 2. But anyways, it ran really, really well. I guess that's all that matters for Switch 2 owners. So probably be the smoothest Pokemon game you've ever played. And the combat, again, it was so enthralling. It was so engaging. You know, you have your 4 attacks with your Pokemon, and in the case of the Mega Evolution, you only have the 1 Pokemon. So basically, you just rotate, like, as things come off cooldown, you just keep your attacks on cooldown. But you had to avoid some stuff. You had to pause sometimes. There was the AoE attack that you had to make sure you and your Pokemon were out of range of, and stuff like that. There was definitely some strategy to the Mega Battle. Again, wouldn't consider it a hard fight, but that wasn't the point. They weren't trying to make it hard. And you know what? Pokemon's never technically, like, unless you go into online multiplayer, been a hard game anyways, personally. That said, folks, that's what I think of Pokemon Legends EA. I am planning to pick this game up day one. It is now something that's on my radar to pay attention to. The battle system actually was really cool, and I kept thinking to myself, like, if you had the catch mechanics from Arceus come on with the battle system from here, it would almost be like the perfect Pokemon game for me. And I gotta know, for me, I can see some traditionalists maybe not liking the way this works, but I loved it. I know Gamebird Classic felt the same way. He wasn't totally sold. He loves it. Thunderstash Gaming, I know, loved it as well. Have his own impressions that probably go even deeper than this. But yeah, that's my thoughts on Legends EA, and I will catch you guys in the next video.